Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much for dropping by. I'm really, really pleased that it did work after all. It's such a shame when computer problems literally happen right in the morning and, you know, the day before everything was fine and things were just working okay. There was an update yesterday that Windows said, hey, shall we apply it? And I thought, okay, apply it, then we'll have a look, restart it. Everything seemed to work fine. This morning, I switched the streaming PC on and I don't get remote connection. That's tricky because my monitor isn't connected. So I had to go grab a monitor and have a look at it. And it looked like it was all working fine. So I logged in locally, and that's kind of when the trouble started. I thought it was just a remote issue, so computer was working. I thought, okay, restart without an update, and that's when it said, couldn't really do things. I need to go and try automatic repair, tried it again and again. That old cookie, one of those things. So yes, exotic components, that could be. So one exotic component that I have is the Elgato capture card, and I have a second computer exactly like that, a Z600 workstation, and this is a slightly newer version which works with the Elgato card. But I also have a slightly older version which Julia currently uses as a desktop computer, and that one doesn't like the Elgato card. So it's a different motherboard in a different version, Rev A versus Rev B. I already know what the difference is, but I only know that the old computer doesn't like the card. It just doesn't want to work with it. Some kind of conflicts there. And then this one, the slightly better one, that kind of works on the whole, but it looks like Windows occasionally throws a hissy fit. So don't really know what's happening. One of those things. We'll never find out. I'm just glad the restore points work, and I do have another computer that I could potentially swap over if I had to. So one of those things. Hey, before we get going with the main affair, which is the Monsters Expedition, continuing our journey through the puzzling exhibitions, I thought I'd introduce you to another little guy that I've added to our overlay. So except for other than the crab and the mouse, we now also have this Slinky. And I thought I'm going to show you how I've made him in DAZ Studio and the pitfalls that I've come across over with him. So the model itself was a cylinder that I've built in Blender. And can I show you the rigging? Yes, I think I can. In DAZ Studio even. This is what the rigging looks like of my little Slinky. So he was just a cylinder with however many elements I've added. How many? This is the hip bone here, and then I've added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments either side. So the way I went about building him, and we'll see him in motion in a minute. He should fly through every 5 minutes or so. Is that I've selected the face groups in Blender and made each of these parts a thing that DAZ Studio would infer bones of. So that's not it. Maybe wire texture shaded like this. Does that work? Oh, Control L, there we go. And you can see the geometry a little bit better. So all these things are face groups here. Then I've added these bones here with DAZ Studio, and then I thought I'm going to try out some substance materials and given him a little, orange little thing. And there's all kinds of tricky things that happen with him. Whoops, he's walking away. So there's forward motion applied in him. There we go. This is how he walks, and it's quite nice. So the wobble, that was not done with spring dynamics. He just walks like that naturally, and it's just all keyframe interpolation. That's how that's done. That, interestingly, did not translate well into any blocks. So when I turn this into an anti-block, the whole wobbly bit when he goes and comes to a halt, that stops. So it somehow takes it out. I'm not sure why. It's a bit of a shame, but it's it's just a fact of life. And the tricky bit really was that if you watch the hip bone closely, it keeps turning around. So now that it's up, now it's down, and then it has to go back up again. And that's difficult to animate in DAZ Studio because there has to be a point where you basically seamlessly switch him to the other motion, because you can't animate from 0 to 360 and then further over. You have to, there's a break there. You can go from 0 to 360 in the rotation, but you can't go further than that without resorting to trickery. So I've worked around that. I thought this was nice, and then I thought, well, how am I going to do the forward motion, because it's not linear? So that was another tricky bit. This is the follow camera, but there's also a wide camera that I thought, well, maybe I'll just go and have a static camera and take this bit and make him loop out that way, and then just render this bit and then assemble that in Premiere so that the loopings, you know, can just seamlessly happen, and I just shift it with every segment of the animation. But that also didn't quite work, because I don't think you'll see it here, but if you look at the rendered images, you'll see that this image here does not line up properly with that image. And that's of course due to perspective change. This is now showing the Slinky slightly from a different angle than it was on the right hand side. And that is a bit of an issue. Mr. Chris, top of the morning, very good to see you. So I've worked around it by using this as a reference and then using the rendered version of this Slinky, or like a close-up version of Slinky, and that will hopefully, you know, that was the thing. So I had to basically take the forward motion out, render this version, which basically just looks at him straight on, and then recreate that forward motion in Premiere. A little bit tricky, but one of those things. Crazy stuff. Hey, before we begin the main affair, there's something else I wanted to show you. I've just written an article about that. Oh no, actually I'm in the process of writing an article about that. So I could show you how this works with the video, and then split it out and add it to the article, release it as a standalone video. And it's a question I got many times actually. It's about joint corrective morphs. What are they? How do we make them happen? And you know, what can we do to create them in DAZ Studio? And I thought I could show you the principle with my little pointer focus on. Let's do this. I'm going to use my previous, let's see if I can find him. I made something like a rigged cylinder, didn't I? I think that was on my, was it on my desktop? There's something called Rigging Adventure, and I thought I'm going to go show you that with that prop. Rigging Adventure, there we go. So cylinder number 5, I think that's pretty much, that's pretty good here. Yeah, there we go. So this is my cylinder that I've had, and I'll go and create a morph in him. So currently he doesn't have any. Maybe I'll go and switch off the high resolution. Just see base resolution for now, and I'll build a morph. So currently I don't have one. I'm going to build a morph that makes his top go out in hexagon just quickly, so that we have a morph, and then we can turn that into joint corrective morph. So let's do that. Let's go under File, Send to the hexagon. Hey Sid, how's it going? I thought I'll do a little bit of a mix between 3D stuff and the game today. So welcome, good to see you. So all I'm thinking of doing here is grabbing, well, first grabbing the guy, and then grabbing this point and just taking it out. Like so. That's my morph. Awesome. Great work. Superb job. File, send to DAZ Studio, and that will create me a morph. And I'll call this one top out. Just, you know, just so we have a morph. That's cool. Do I want to? Yeah, I think that's all good. Morph created successfully. Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? So in here, and I have my top out morph. Great. It also goes back inside. I don't think I want that, so I'll go and just fiddle with the parameter settings. I'll take this guy to 0. There. So now we have a top out morph that literally just comes out. Can we see that here? It might be a bit tough. I'll go. Let's see if I'll go with wire shaded there, so we can see the geometry a little bit better. So under morphs we have top out. That's our morph. And also I've rigged my cylinder, so that's kind of cool. So I can go and grab a piece of him, like I showed you in the previous episode. I can grab a piece of him and then move his top like so. So imagine now I would like to build my joint corrective morph that if I bend the top part minus 45 in the X rotation, like the bend part. If I do that, I would like for the morph to come out. That's the purpose of a joint corrective morph. So usually you would use this in something like you have an arm on a figure, and as the arm bends, the bicep muscle comes out. The bicep muscle is a morph, and the bending is a joint rotation. So you marry up a joint rotation with a morph. So you're telling DAZ Studio, if this rotation on this joint happens and it reaches a certain value, then put this morph on to a certain percentage. That's essentially that. It's controlling, it's driving a morph from a controller rotation. So let's say I wanted to make that happen. I'll put minus 45 in the bend rotation, just completely arbitrary, because that's what we want to do. So the first thing we need to do is crank up our morph on our little guy. This is the effect we want. We want for this to happen as soon as this rotates 45 degrees. And then we need to go and marry these two values up. And that happens on something quite scary called the property hierarchy tab. That's something you may not have come across, and it'll open automatically as soon as you put this guy into edit mode. I think if you go and right click on the morph slider that you wanted, nothing comes up. But if you put this into edit mode and then you right click, so now it's in edit mode here. Now if you right click on that slider, you see this thing at the bottom that says show in property hierarchy. And that's an interesting thing. I think I've docked mine already. If I select that, oh no, it comes up here. So I'm going to go and dock it on the right hand side here, because that's just, makes more sense. And that looks a bit scary, but it has a list of all joint rotations and morphs that are currently in your object. So if you're doing this on a Genesis figure, you'll see this list is massive. So in my case, I've got the top out morph here. And if I open that up, I can see that it has another section called controllers. And that's really what I'm interested in. So I would like to use my joint rotation to drive this thing as a controller, essentially. So let's leave this open while also having our parameters tab open so that we can see these things. I know, so many sneaky things, right? I totally agree. So now I need to go back to my my exact joint rotation that I would like this to drive. So if I go and select my top cylinder here and then I head over to rotation, I can see that this is what is making that happen. This is what I'd like to drive this thing, and I would like for that to happen at minus 45. So, or any other value that you want. I'm just picking minus 45 here. And so the trick is now to take this in edit mode and left click and drag this rotation over and drop it onto the first stage controller here, first stage controller. If I do that, it goes plonk, the thing goes away. That's kind of okay. I think I've done it the correct way around. Might also not have done that, but we'll find out. So it's now made this connection here. If I go and open this up, it's now made this connection that there is this ERC delta Z rotate with a controller that is, I don't know, somewhere here. Is it attributes? Where is it? Well, it should have acknowledged my morph here somehow. Oh, actually, this is already my morph. Sorry. So the morph is being controlled by this rotation here now. So I think now, if I remember correctly, all I need to do is go back to my morph, which is in the top part of my figure, under morphs. There we go. If I do that now, go and dial him up to 100%. All I have to do now, I think, is ERC freeze one of the two. I think I need to ERC freeze the bend. Don't quote me on this. It's new to me too, but I thought we could learn together. Let's try that. I'm going to go and ERC freeze this with the controller driven. Let's try that. Nice. It knows that top out should be at a certain value. Now hit accept. And that is that. It puts it back in high resolution. I don't really know why. I suppose it wants to do me a favor. I can come out of edit mode now and go and twiddle with my joint rotation. And that now shows me that the morph happens or is gradually being dialed in as I reach my minus 45 here or beyond. And that's how to do that. Quite fascinating, isn't it? I think you can probably see it better if I go into... If I just take that high resolution out again. There, so it only happens on towards -45. If I didn't do ERC freeze, it'll still work, but it doesn't gradually interpolate as I dial this up. So if I go and not do ERC freeze, it'll basically remain flat until it reaches exactly -45, and then it just pops out. That's how you do that. So one important thing to remember is that you can only marry up one joint rotation with one morph. So if I wanted to have something similar happen as I move it to the other side, I can't use the same morph because that morph is already controlled by one joint, if I understand it correctly. So if I wanted to have it go in both directions, you have to make a second morph. So it's very unique to, you know, these bits and pieces. Crazy stuff. Yes, good point, Brian. So there we go. I will break this out into a little episode of how to make joint corrective morphs. There's also, I've also shown how to make controllers in an article. That is something I've shown in the crab video, in which I basically create one of those arbitrary dials at the top here. So I could go into morphs and I could make my own dial, and I can then have that control something else. So that is also possible to do that. I might show you that in another video, just on a simple example like this, because that was also an interesting one. They all feed in together. So there's a controller, which is just a dial that does nothing, and then it goes and drives a morph or another thing, multiple things if you want. So you could have one dial that drives 5 morphs and 3 rotations. That's possible. That's a controller. Then there's these joint corrective morphs, which is bone rotations driving morphs. And then the other one is morph corrective morphs, MCMs. Those are also interesting ones. That's where when you dial up a morph, other morphs will also be dialed up. That's also interesting. So I might cover that in a future episode. So yes, kind of interesting property hierarchy and all the bits and pieces that it has. It opens automatically. You can also get it via window panes, of course. And then there's the property hierarchy. But yes, sneaky, one of those things. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, one of those things. For me, it's a big part of my learning process is to make notes of these things and then make sure I remember them. And as I explain this, or as I write articles about it, that kind of does it for me. So, and now let's go and play with the little monster guy. Julia and I have been playing the Apple Arcade version, and I think there's something might have happened there. It's somehow reset or whatnot. We have some islands that we have certainly explored that are all of a sudden reset. I mean, the game has tracked the progress. It's done that, but it hasn't quite left all the trees that we've pushed over intact. So quite interesting. There's one thing I'd like to do before we continue, and that is to enable show island coordinates. I think as we get into the more difficult territory of this little guy's journey, it'll be interesting to see on the bottom left what island that is. So the first set of numbers, that is, I believe, the island that's referenced. So the second set, I'm not sure what that means, but yes, 206-1430 is this current island, and if we go on another island like this one, that first number and the second number changes. So if ever we're completely stuck, we can look for a solution, and also I can make little videos with this referencing each single island. That's the plan. Come on, let's see if we can get this guy onto, what is this, Bike Island? What are we thinking here? Well, this tree certainly wants to go over here, I'm thinking. But then what does that tree do? We could chuck him in there, but is that what we want? Do we want to... Is that good? I can't tell. Possibly. And it might be. Look at that. Aha! Mini raft gets us over to Bike Island. What's this exhibit tell us about humans that have obviously long died out thousands of years ago? On a mobile laundry rack. Oh yeah, I think we had the stationary laundry rack before, haven't we? On breezeless laundry days, humans added wheels to their drying racks and rolled back and forth to generate a wind effect. As well as drying the clothes faster, laundry day thus also increased cardiovascular fitness and saw an uptick in visits to neighbors. Really? Crazy stuff. Very funny. This guy... So we have all this unexplored area around us, so we're still at the very beginning. These islands are getting extremely hard later on. Could that be the solution already? I think it's part of the solution, isn't it? That is difficult, isn't it? So ideally, I'd like to put this guy into here, and then that would be a raft. We could walk on it and we can go straight up to the island. But of course, the obvious flaw is I can't move this guy over anymore because there's a stump in the way. What are we going to do about that? If I go back and go and turn this, I can only really move it up or down. Oh, is it as easy as doing... No, it isn't. I can move it down, but if I do that, it'll just roll off over here. So that's not the solution either. What are we missing? Could also be that I have to go and kick this guy over here. But then how am I going to reach that island over there? That can't be it either. Could it be this way? No, because that means I can't move it over to the right, let alone to the top. It's a tricky one. So I still favor this. But then what do we do with that? Oh, we push it over here. Oh, that's easy. Totally didn't see that. The exhibit was the stopper. Now we can do that. Ah! Whew! That was fairly easy. I like one tree islands. Yeah, if they just have a single tree, that's all I need really. And then of course we have this and that. Look, that gets us down. And there's some kind of ferret looking guy here. This gives me two options here. If I can either roll this over here, or I can go climb over the tree and do something with that. And that's not a good idea. But then how do I get back? So, difficult. Yeah, let's go reset the island. See what we can do. So this, that makes sense. Then this, possibly... I like that I forget the solutions, even though I must have gone through this on my other game quite clearly. I have no idea how to solve this anymore. There is this. No, there isn't. Can't walk over that. There's also that. Could do that. Or, even better... No, see, there isn't. I'd love to put this guy over straight like that into this ditch here, but that isn't possible either. Right, that might be an idea. So like this, and then put the small tree in here that I can at least walk over there. Brian, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's do that. So maybe before I do that then, because I can do this and then move this in here. But what do I do with the small tree? I feel like I need to do something with it beforehand. Do you know, I can't, because I start here and I have to knock it down in order to get to the right of the tree. That would be ideal if I could be here and then knock the tree over to the left, but the game won't let me do that. So I can, why don't we do it the other way around? We're going to knock this tree over first and put it here. Then I use this tree as a backstop. That should do the trick. And now we have the solution. Nice! Nicely spotted, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is why we need to play this game with multiple people. I don't think one person by himself or herself that's just too difficult. Yeah, so like here as well, this is the only thing I can do with that large tree, or put this tree down. But I have to make some type of decision. We go left or we go right. Maybe this way. That should do it. If we go and kick this one down. The problem is now we can't push this over this way. That's a shame, isn't it? But maybe we can go and climb on this tree and do something like that. No! Ah, it rolls! Unless that's what we need it to do, so we can go and... But we can't climb behind it somehow. Can't do that. Damn you, tree! Or we do this first and find a different way to deal with this tree, like that, for example. And then move him down. No, we can't! Ah! I love to move him down, or at least one further to the right and then down, but that doesn't work either. Huh. Tricky. So this tree can only go down. That's the only thing we can do with it. Go down. This tree can either go left or right. If we put it left, at least we can put it down as well. If we put it right, it's kind of stuck here, so I can't go and move it further. So my money is on putting that tree left, I'm thinking. This tree could also go up if need be. Should we do that instead? That's something we haven't tried out. If I go and reset it, I can push this to the left and I can push this guy up. But I don't know if it's gonna get us anywhere. Doesn't really look like it. Then there's this. But once we've got it in that position, what do we do with it? It's almost like there's something missing that stops him from rolling all this way. But even if that was the case, it'll be stuck between these two rocks, so maybe that's also not the solution. Could it be then that if we do this and knock this tree down, and then we go and stop this little tree with that tree? Is that an idea? But then what do I do? It's just like we're a completely stuck island. Suggestions? Other than, you know, going on a different island, we can do that too. That is quite nice that we always have the way to just, you know, go elsewhere and try our luck there. And there's really no other island that we could reach. So my money is on this island here, on the right next to it. Maybe we're making a raft. Brian, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. I totally didn't see that. I think this is one of those things that we need to train ourselves to look at. These rocks by corners, they make rafts. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I totally didn't see that. This is often also why solutions don't work because you don't see the thing that you're supposed to do. If I'm focused on how to get to this right island, I'm often missing the point that maybe you can do other things, like, you know, jump in the water and make a raft there. So if I do it the other way around, just kick the little tree in first and then come up with the large tree, then that'll work. Brian, very good. What would I do without you? How exciting. And now we cast off. Can either go back and forth or go into the great unknown. Ha! How exciting. I love it. Collective puzzle solving. Both on and off the 3D circuit. Hey, that is good. We're on the 3D circuit. I like that. I wonder if they're gonna release a level editor for this game. That would be so cute. Roberta says hello. That is exciting. Hello, Roberta. Good to see you. Did you catch Slinky going by? I just caught the crab, but I haven't seen Slinky yet. Was Slinky around? It's been so much work, you know. Be good to see him on the silver screen. You've seen Slinky? Oh, good stuff. I haven't seen Slinky in action yet, just in testing, so I'll keep my eyes peeled. So this tree looks like it's the only one we can put over to the left in order to reach the rest of the island. I can't go down here. Then this little tree probably goes over here. I like that. Do you know, there were actually a couple of other islands that we haven't explored now that we're over here, just to remind ourselves of that. If we see the nearest mailbox, there's more to explore on this island in case we get stuck. Then we have this guy. And would it be possible to just go and knock you over here? That'd be too easy, right? He can't cross these things. So if I wanted to do that, this has to be a little raft. This has to be made of 2 trees. Or the large tree and the small tree need to be combined somehow so that he can go and make the journey over there. Let's see. Maybe the large tree doesn't go to the top right away. Maybe it goes to the bottom and shifts into a slightly different position. Like if we do this and then shift him over here, that makes a raft, but it's in the wrong position. Learn Andrew, hello, good morning. That's not it either. That wasn't it. But I think the idea was kind of interesting, to move this tree up to this side and then move it. I mean, the 3 options that we have for the large trees, we can put them into the water right away. But again, that doesn't really get us to the other island. Or we can put it to the top. That only leaves the option to get him into the water. But the problem then is that the only other tree I have at my disposal isn't movable. I can't move it anywhere else other than put him in the water. So it's another conundrum. What else might we do? So I think this is sound logic to a certain extent. I can't do that either. I thought maybe it's a good idea to move him one back, but even if I do that, it wouldn't be able to stop it any other way. While that is awesome, it doesn't really get us anywhere, does it? Thankfully we have another island. Difficult to get to, but manageable. What do we do with this then? Sometimes these islands are also not something we need to do with at the moment. We can just wait until we get round again. That's also sometimes how these puzzles are designed. But let's give it one more crack. So there's no other way. I have to knock this over. I can knock it back if I want it and then go back and forth, so that's something neat to remember. Hey, Mr. Neville, how's it going? Good evening to you, sir. And then ideally, I just do this and somehow maneuver the small tree over here. If I somehow manage to put the small tree in here, I could just walk right over. But it looks like that is not possible. So what else is there to do? Once I knock this over, this is the only thing I can do with it. Maybe there's nothing we can do with this island. Sometimes there's just nothing. I'll go reset this and move on to the next island, because I think there's something we're missing here. Maybe we're going to go back to it. That could be. Let's see what this conundrum is all about. So I believe, we need to somehow go over to this new exhibit island here. That looks easy. Good stuff. We can roll this over and do boom. I like it. And then we just walk over. Ha ha! New exhibit. Mostly reliable slot machine. All right. Human gambling machines came in several forms. This is a type of slot machine where the human would insert money and try to win a snack. Players had a 78% chance of winning. Perfect for humans seeking mild financial peril. Yes, and don't we all do that? Yes, no one ever says this vending machine guarantees you to get a snack out of it. It never happened. Mostly reliable vending machines. It just goes to show that if you have the right attitude towards vending machines, this is actually, they're not so bad. So yeah, okay, so 80% chance you get something out, 20% chance you lose, but you had the thrill of seeing it at work. I love these when you have the window and there's tons of snacks and there's a spiral sort of mechanism that puts it out and there's some kind of arm that grabs it. I love all the mechanics behind it. But yes, it's not always reliable. Vending machines. I remember seeing one in, was it Cologne, I believe? I had a central station there in Cologne. It was Cologne or some other German town. And it was massive. It was literally like, I don't know, 20, 30 yards long and as tall as like 10 yards tall. Amazing stuff. And you could literally get anything, blankets and electronics. And I love that you can get iPads out of these things at airports. Crazy stuff. Oh, I can imagine. Do you remember, Brian, from the Japanese vending machines, do you remember that they cook food for you as well? So there's something like put money in, wait a few minutes, and then a hot snack comes out? I remember the Belgians were experimenting with that for rest stops along the motorway, that you could get a freshly fried portion of fries out of the machine. Crazy stuff. Hot soup and stuff. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, so apparently this machine would go and put the fries into boiling oil for so many minutes, take them out and put them in a cup for you to then enjoy. You just have to be patient. And I think the only issue was that if these things are left unattended, they consume a huge amount of energy because the oil needs to be at boiling point all the time. And it's a nightmare to clean them. But from what I understand, companies like McDonald's are very much looking into automating the whole hamburger making process so that you don't have humans involved. And the humans would clean the machine, but the machine would just go and generate the burgers. And coffee in a can. What happened to that? Nestle had a product like that once. And it went off the market. It had two things to open. One which you would actually open to get the drink out, but there's another one, I think at the bottom or something, that you had to open, and then two liquids would roll into one another, and that would then heat up the coffee on the inside. It's taken off the market, some kind of military surplus idea. Those were the days. Yes, I always wondered about that product. I don't think I ever had one. I always wanted to have a look at it. But they were already off the market when I got a chance. This is difficult. What do we do here? It's the only way to knock this tree over, and then we can't really do anything with it anymore. So there's no way to get in there from behind. I would imagine our aim is to reach this island here at the top. Oh, I see. I see. They're just kept warm by the machine. Yes, I think Nestle was kind of coffee in a can, and it had sweetener and or sugar and cream in it. And it's great for camping. You just take them, and then when you want a coffee on the road, you just go and pull this bottom plug, mix it, wait a couple of minutes, and then open the top thing. And I think the issue was that the coffee was never as hot as they wanted it to be, so it was always lukewarm, and it very much depended on the outside temperature. So if you use it here in Florida, you get a fairly warm cup of coffee out, but if you use it in Alaska, the coffee would be like, I don't know, 24 degrees, which is not hot as such. And I think if you go into some kind of cold climate and you go on camping and you have a lukewarm cup of coffee, it wasn't nice. I always feared they took it off the market because there was something like when these liquids that would make the heat happen, if they would somehow leak into the coffee cabinet inside the tin, that would be bad. I don't know if it ever happened. I don't know. All I know is I think customer satisfaction was like 1%. Brian, what we're going to do with this puzzle here, I have no idea. The logical way to go about doing this is knock this tree over here so that we can at least break it with that. And judging by the level design here, we can go behind this tree and do something with it. But now, what do? As soon as we're here, we can do that. But then we don't get further. If we go one further, then we can't do anything else with it. So perhaps we need to go and put this here for now. Somehow. I don't know what we do with this. That doesn't give us an advantage. Neither does this. So us being here isn't really all that amazing. I could do that, but then I can't go over it anymore. I could do that and then use this tree and knock it back like that. Oh. Skip the island, also possible. Hey, this is the way to go. We don't touch the second tree at all. We just use the little tree over here to do that. Then go behind it. And then... Oh! Now I can't do anything with it either. Damn! It was such a cool idea. Ah! Oh, I know. Here's the trick, You go, you do this. While it's still upright, we go and do this. Roll it over here, use the mailbox as a stopping stone. Oh my. Man, this was difficult. Oh wow. Hey, let's do this one more time just so that we can remember. The second tree stays in place. The first tree goes down here and becomes a little bridge. So we do that. Now this tree doesn't go down, it goes up, rolls over here, and now, boom, next island. Oh, wow. What a tricky one. Hey, and let me show you, these are the easy islands. This was a particularly easy island. I like this one. Just when you've had that little mini celebration, you get to this next island and you think, I don't know what to do here. Okay, so this tree, I guess, over here, right? That's cool. Another exhibit we can have a look at. Heart-shaped heart. The rise in online surgery tutorials and medical influencers led to a boom in amateur human surgery. One popular procedure was heart augmentation, which transformed the complex asymmetrical human organ to look more like a neat cartoon heart. Oh, is that so? Do you know, it is true. I mean, I haven't done this myself, but I remember one of the doctors in hospital was saying to me that this was the admitting emergency doctor. He's basically the guy assessing how bad are you and what needs to be done to you, and then other doctors will take care of you. That's the guy in ER. In case you've never been to ER, congrats. But if you have, then the admitting doctor is usually making some kind of assessment there. And the first ER doctor that I've met, he said, he's a very stressed out guy, but it was super attitude he had. And he said, well, the people who might perform surgery on you are the ones driving Porsches and all that. I only drive a Toyota, so I'm not really paid enough for that. I could probably do it, but I'd have to watch YouTube tutorials and it'll all be really messy, so I'd rather my colleagues take care of this in case there is surgery necessary. So it was very funny the way he said it. But it's the first time that I thought, oh my, YouTube is not only a reference for 3D tutorials, it is also one for all kinds of other tutorials, like, you know, surgery, like how to perform an emergency appendectomy in the field when the only thing you have is a needle and some thread and maybe a blunt pocket knife. So very cool. I can just see it on your LTE connection. What do we do now? Incision where? Hold this sweat. Come on. Hey Andrew, how's it going? Very good to see you. We're just talking about online surgery tutorials, and why don't we just do surgery ourselves? Medical influencers, I like it. So that was easy, but what are we going to do with this island? I'm thinking perhaps move tree over here. You'd think that was a good idea, but then what do we do? Can't walk over there. Is it one of those things where we need to put this little tree into here again so that it becomes the bridge again? Could that be? Because the thing is, once we're on the other side, I don't think there's much we can do with this tree unless we do that, roll it over here. That could be possibility. If we roll this over here and that little tree just goes right into that gap, that would give us a bridge to walk across. But of course, issue is not possible. Dang. Yes. What else can we do with Mr. Large Tree here? Nothing really. We can do this, but that means we can't move it left or right. We can move it over here, but again, it's stuck after that. So I think the only valid option then, since we can't move over, well, I suppose we can do this. No, can't go behind the tree that way either. So I suppose this tree is definitely the one that gets us to this island here. Tricky. If we do put it down, we could use that to break this little tree somehow. That would do the trick. And then we can move this over here, make this guy a little bridge, just like we thought. Ha ha! Boom! Another island solved. Sorry, Neville, you were too slow. It's probably the YouTube delay. I mean, you live so far away. Maybe the packets take longer to travel to South Australia. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure. I mean, we have two trees here. Is it one of those where we need to have this little stone be the one that pushes us over in a raft setting? That could be. That might be possible. Let's try that. I think that's fairly easy to do. If we don't put that in here. Before we spend too much time looking for bridges that aren't really there, we can do that. that gets us here, but it doesn't really get us on the island. So gets us back and forth, but not really on the island. So it's kind of a half solution. And we can't jump off in the middle. That would be nice. It's almost like we need something at the top of that island to not let us go all the way, so that we basically break and get off in the middle. Tricky. Or, quite frankly, that wasn't the solution. That is also very possible. Maybe that is not how we solve this at all. I mean, it looks like it is, but maybe it's not. What else can we do with these trees then? We can do nothing with this guy. We can push him up or down, but up means all it does is go straight in the water. Down means it goes straight in the water. None of which is helpful. This tree could it do that? But that's the raft again, so we've just had that solution. We can't get off on the other island then. And maybe, I mean, if there is a large tree on this island, which is difficult to see in the cloud cover, if there is a large tree, we could maybe, just maybe, or build another raft in this little pond there, and then let us walk from this raft onto the other raft. That's also possible. Yeah, I don't see another solution that we can utilize here. Yeah, I don't see it. Do you see anything? This could go here, so that might give us something. That could go here. Is that something that could? That could? Yeah. If only. We could go and put this over. That would be a straight bridge. That would work. But how would we do that? Would we do that? Potentially. By putting this tree behind this. Is that possible? So if I manage to somehow get this tree over here and push it over there, then I could push this tree over one more. That might be cool. Andrew, what are the problems you're having? That might just be the solution, mightn't it? But for that to happen, I think this tree can't be here just yet. I think it needs to become a break for this guy, maybe. Or am I thinking too complicated? That might be. Let's see. So if we can manage this tree over there, what else can we do with this tree? If we do that somehow. I can't just do this, because that'll just kick that other tree straight into the water. Let's see. If we do that. That might do the trick. That might break him. And that'll kick him over. And it's not the solution. It's not the solution, I'm afraid. We do that, but then yes, it's too difficult. I can't do it. Yeah, this would be the solution. If I had the little tree over here and I could just push it over, then that would make a bridge. But how do we do that? Oops. Do we maybe just push this guy over? You know, we can't. We can't. There's just no way to do anything with this guy. Dang. Looks like we're gonna have to forego this island as well and find a different island. Maybe this one. You can't import DAZ characters into Marvelous Designer. Why not? So what I do is just export him as OBJ. Case closed. So the select the character, make sure either nothing else is selected in the scene, or you just export the one option. You can do it high resolution, export as OBJ, then in Marvelous Designer, file import OBJ as avatar. What's the problem you're getting? Now here we have another interesting one. Monster agrees. He doesn't know further. These are all seriously difficult islands, and these are just the beginnings of the game, mind you. What would I do with that? I can do this. And then that. If only this tree could join him, I could go over there, but that doesn't work. So then I could do this. That might be the solution. But even so, now what do I do? This is teasing us. Push a left tree straight up. Let's try that, Neville. Come on. Left tree straight up. And then, oh, how do we break it? So it'll either roll off this way, or it'll roll off the other way. Then this tree is only really accessible, well, by nothing. Is it that I'm supposed to? No, because then I can't actually go on this tree now to do anything with it from the back. Damn you, tree! Third island, I have no idea what to do with. Crazy stuff. I could build a raft in here, but that really doesn't make... Whoops. That doesn't really make any sense. I could do this and walk over here. That's cool. I can do that. Make a little... Whoops. No, don't do that. Build a little raft. Oh, come on. Here. But who's helped by that? Good thing is we have another whole group of islands that we can go back to. Maybe we're not even supposed to be in this area, which is why it appears so difficult. Okay, let me see if I understand you correctly. With the left one in the water, you can stand on it to push the right tree up. No, never mind. Okay. Yes, I know what you mean. It would make sense to do this, then put him in here, then we can at least utilize this tree. And if I go push him up, I have a feeling this is, you know, that is where the key is hiding though, because I can now go and push him back and then use the heart exhibit as a stop. Ha! Oh man! Thank you, Brian. You had it. Well, we had it. Together. Teamwork. I like it. That is how we do that. Man, what a difficult group of islands this is. Now what? This has got to be something to do with... This has got to be something to do with, if I ever wanted to reach this tree on the right hand side, I have to push this tree over and into the water here. Somehow. It has to be that. But in order to get there, I have a feeling... Do we do this? Yes, we do. That is good. And I think this also means it's raft time. It is, isn't it? Raft time. Come, no, don't, come back here. Dude. Is it? Yes, look at that. Raft time. Woo-hoo! I suppose we have to forego this island. I mean, we can have another crack at it, but I just haven't got a... Is there... What are we missing? Because this island here, to the left, it looks like that little tree, if we kick that over, it connects to this island. So that shows me we're not accessing that island from here. We're accessing this island from there to make the round trip. Let's see if we can find out. Let's have one more crack at it. Since we're just warming up here with the whole puzzle thing. How would this work? What are we not seeing here? I want to know what that exhibit is as well. Very important. What are we not seeing here? This tree only ever moves up or down. Nothing else doing with it. If it moves down, at least I can go behind it and push it over there. But only if I had a tree that'll stop me. So maybe we'll just go sacrifice this tree. Let's try that. We do that. But then I haven't got anything. I can't move the tree either here. It's just stuck with the rock. So I have a feeling that's probably not the solution. If we not sacrifice that tree, that is also possible. If we go and push this guy over here. Well, I'll just move him over here for a second. Can I do that? Does that get me the golden ticket here? Ah! That's an interesting mechanic we hadn't seen coming. I can go on top of the rock. Snacks are very important, Brian. So will this, in fact, this is the solution, isn't it? This is the solution then. If I go and sacrifice this tree and push this guy down, this tree goes over there. Does this do anything for us? Not in its current iteration, but if there was a tree standing up right here and I wanted to push it down, maybe that will be the solution. Andrew, did you try exporting that DAZ character as OBJ? I have a feeling that'll solve your problems. It's one of those things. If you export stuff from DAZ Studio, FBX is usually not your friend. The same goes for imports. FBX is just not your friend. So it's either that, or we go and push this. Yeah, it's got to be this. It's got to be that. Then something along the lines of that. No object data found. Oh, okay. Maybe then that it could be that you're just using the wrong export settings from OBJ. Try using the DAZ Studio preset when you export. That usually does a good job. Chris will attest to that. Chris does this all the time. Yeah, if you go into DAZ Studio and just export OBJ and then pick the DAZ Studio preset, leave everything as it is, I would probably make sure nothing else is in your scene just to make sure. It doesn't really matter because there's an option that only exports the selected object and, you know, all works well. If that still doesn't work, then I don't know. Yeah, because that's how it works for me. Let's have a quick nosy. Let me show you live. This is kind of nice to be able to do that. I'll go and open DAZ Studio. Let's just go through exactly the steps that I'm taking. And then, you know, maybe it'll help you. I'm sure we can make it work. Yeah, indeed. And also, once you've saved all your, well, what's the word? Megabins, I think. Is that the word I'm looking for? Let's go and load ourselves a figure. In fact, let me load the new project that has just been released on the DAZ Store. My first project. Dorel and I have been working on this together. Stream safe textures for Genesis 8 and 3. very cool. So it allows me to go into here and get any of these figures out, like say the light figure as an actor. Oh, that's Genesis 3 now, but it'll just bring in an avatar with clothing on it. That's kind of cool. So I don't have to worry about nudity bits and pieces. This was Genesis 3, so let me go in Genesis 8 here. 8 or 8.1, let's say 8, 8.10, let's do that. Textures, don't worry about textures also. If you see your avatar is not imported with textures into Marvelous Designer, don't worry about it. It is just, you don't really need them. You can use them, you don't have to. So I have other objects in my scene. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just go and say File, Export. I'll pick myself, maybe my desktop, and I'll pick Wavefront OBJ at the bottom here. That's also important. That's how DAZ Studio decides what format to export. So make sure this is set to export OBJ. And I'll call this here G8, just G8F in the A pose perhaps. Then this dialog pops up. So make sure you use this preset at the top here. Don't use anything else. Just with that, it'll already have everything that you need, including invisible, ignore invisible nodes. So anything that's invisible in your scene is not going to be transported. Export. Don't worry about resolution either. It doesn't matter. You can use high resolution for this. Just be aware that if you are importing morph targets into Marvelous Designer afterwards, make sure it's the same resolution. So if you morph this figure and you wanted her to morph in Marvelous Designer to strike a pose, to drape something differently, make sure it's the same resolution. Stream safe textures, absolutely. Sydney, bring him on. That's why we're doing this. Good round of, you know, doing a bit of gaming and doing a bit of questions and answers to problems and issues and all that. Marvelous Designer, File, Import. So if you have nothing else in your scene, Import OBJ will work. Import Add OBJ or OBJ to Garment. This is going to work if you already have other things in your scene like a garment and you now want to add an avatar, you can use this. It doesn't really matter. Import OBJ will do the trick. On our desktops, G8F A pose, and it'll come up with all these McGubbins datas here. In our case, we want to use open, but you can also use add. So this is exactly the same dialog that you had before. Open will now just go and bring this one thing in. I would go say add and add it as an avatar. So you can also use this as a garment and whatnot. We want to probably use an avatar. Scale, centimeters, DAZ Studios, all good. Hit OK and boom. Oops. Different shortcut keys. Genesis in Marvelous Designer. So that's how it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then I'm not entirely sure what the problem is, because it just works with the presets. And like Chris will say as well, it's just one of those things that just, luckily this works fairly reliable, both in Marvelous Designer and in Clo. I'll leave these two open in the background, so, you know. Oh, how interesting. In Clo, is it, how did you, is it a Clo pattern? Are you coming, is it something that you've made in Clo? So is the pattern existent in Clo? And you have, and the pattern pieces do not show up in the UV editor. It could be that if it's a pattern that started here as patterns, or like as say, you know, as man, I've forgotten how to use Marvelous Designer now. No, damn you! How do we make just a pattern piece here? Do we do this? Just a pattern. If it starts like that in here, I think then it'll most definitely show up here in the UV editor. If it's nowhere to be seen, just see if you can zoom out, and then Control A to grab everything and then right click and see if you can say fit UV into 0 to 1 space, and then at least they should all show up in somewhere close together. Part modular, then revise. Yeah, so sometimes what happens is if you use obj to garment, and maybe we'll try that as well, just to, you know, get to the bottom of that. It isn't always possible to infer UV patterns. Okay, yeah, so if you did have something that was a garment to begin with, like a piece of wardrobe, let's see if I have one that we can try. Maybe the flower pass shirt here. Let's try that. I'll just use the dress. So this is not something that Marvelous Designer really knows. If I go and let me go and unparent that, unparent, and also go make these things invisible and just bring in the flower power dress now. Do we have material for it? That's nice. That is very flower power. If I go and export this as a garment now, so same thing as before, and I'll just use my desktop for this. I'll just call it dress. And same thing here, ignore invisible nodes, accept. And I'll bring this in as a garment now. File, import, add. Oh, that was Slinky. I just caught Slinky there. Very good. Okay, good to know, Andrew. It's always good to verify these things, because part of the issue is that if you're thinking, hey, this should work and it doesn't, if you see it working on other people's systems, then at least you know there's some local issue that needs to be fixed. So let me go and import the dress. And if you go import, then you can say add as garment. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to trace the 2D patterns from the UV map, but that might not always be possible. So if I tell you what, let me not do that. I'll do that in a moment, and I'll go and just import this. It's probably going to work bringing it in, but it might not then show up in the UV editor because it doesn't have patterns. So that might be your problem, Sydney, I'm thinking. Because it's here, I can simulate it now, but I have a feeling that if I go into the UV editor, it's kind of showing things up, but this is now the pattern of the avatar, not of the OBJ. So that actually it is, isn't it? It is. So look at that. It's got the avatar texture on it, but it certainly does show up in the UV editor. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought that might be your problem, but even this shows up here. So that's quite nice. Let me go and try that again. If I go and delete this and import OBJ to garment again, I'll just use the same dress, and I'll try to now trace my 2D patterns from the UV map. We may end up with a different result. See what happens. You're very welcome, Andrew. No problem. Let's see. So sometimes it gives an error when I do this. It hasn't given an error, but I can also see it's a hot mess. So I don't think it's awesome. It does have things though. So it has made an effort, but yeah, there's never any guarantee. What happens if I go into the UV editor now? Does this show up here? Yes, it has. So that's okay. So it's here. Fit into 0 to 1 space. I really hope that in the next version of Marvelous Designer, this packing algorithm is being optimized. So I mean, this is not nice. You have overlapping UVs, and you've got the UV space isn't used properly, and it's not great. It's not great. This should be fairly simple to hook into that. And, interesting. So it's so with you, it's not showing up at all, is it? Indeed, yes, I've had this fail before. This is a really lucky coincidence that it did actually work. But if you have it imported as a OBJ, then there is a good chance that this whole arrangement isn't going to work with UVs. So that's where things like substance are going to come in handy, that you say you can use Marvelous Designer for draping, but materials, bringing it in and out, that might not really work. So that's where things like substance, I suppose, materialize, and Quixel Mixer is going to be helpful. One of those things. I'll go and remove this again. In fact, now that we have patterns. But sometimes it works surprisingly well. So it really depends on the garment. So if it does work, it can do great things. If you don't care about OBJ so much, it's still good to use it for draping. Sometimes you have to use an intermediary step in Blender. So if you have an OBJ, a garment OBJ that is not welded, you may have to go and bring it into Blender, weld it there, and then bring it into Marvelous Designer to drape it there. And then, you know, materials will get lost in the process, but it's one of those things. Okay, so if your workflow is to arrange the patterns as I want the UVs to be laid out, and that's in Marvelous Designer, right? Yeah, I find that, yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go, but it's still very time consuming to do that. One of those things. Let me know if you have any other questions. We can always switch back to any of these open applications while we help the little monster guy across. You're very welcome, Sydney. And I think this is a great way to use the Saturday and Sunday. No matter if I'm playing a game or not, I'm happy to interrupt it for pertinent 3D questions. It's a wonderful way to work through this, I think. And if I can help, I'm more than happy to. And also, I like what I really appreciate about our little group is that this is a collective learning process. So I love that everyone brings something to the table and we all come out better for it. This is really nice. I love getting this, getting tips and tricks from the audience about things that I haven't used before. So this is nice, and we can then all just bring it to the world collectively. I really appreciate that. If you have any ideas of how to solve this island, do let me know. I think, was it Neville had a suggestion? Can you jump onto the rock from the raft? That's a good idea. Jump onto the rock from the raft. Let's see. So we did this earlier. The easiest, most exciting, interesting, easy thing is to just make a raft. Can we move from the raft to the rock or back? We cannot. I think rocks, to be able to so that we can climb rocks, I think they need a stump next to them, or a stump that goes onto a tree that then directly leads to the rock. So if we had the stump here and a little tree in the middle, I think I can go on the stump, then on the tree, and then on the rock. Yes, but I still think that this being able to go on this rock, I have a feeling that has something to do with the solution to this puzzle. I'm thinking. This guy, I don't think we need to push him up. I think down is the way to go. Also, Chris, by the way, speaking of Marvelous Designer and things, congrats on the release of your Hoff pants and the Pamela Anderson bathing suit. That's very well, very nicely done. Nice modeling effort there, very good. Also like the logo on the pants, I really like that. The lifeguard logo, that's very cool. This looks like it's the way to go, doesn't it? So that we can do anything with this guy. It makes me think... Look, this might be cool. This is the state that I'd like to reach somehow. So if I now go and move this guy over to here, does that do me any favors? Just because I can. It's kind of a nice idea. Does that give me anything? or doesn't it? It doesn't really, does it? Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Exactly. Catch Chris's streams on Twitch. Very nice. There's a big archive that I've clipped up personally so that his knowledge does not go away after 2 months when Twitch deletes the streams. I try to make sure all Chris's work is preserved because I know that I'm going to have to look at it at one point, and I want to make sure that that all his clips are preserved. So there we go. What if we import a character in Marvelous Designer? Is it going to work? I'm new to these things and I don't know so much. Oh, no worries, Andrew. Yes, you can do that. You can do you can import. Sure, Chris, no problem. You can import a morphed character into Marvelous Designer and then use that as a custom avatar. That's also possible. You can also use you can import things as morph targets as well. So you can bring the base character in, fit clothing around them, and then you say, hey, that clothing is supposed to fit a custom morphed avatar. So you bring in an exported OBJ of your custom avatar and then import it into Marvelous Designer as a morph target that will then shape the current avatar into your custom avatar, and with it it'll also resimulate the clothing, and then you can go and export the clothing and then it'll fit your custom avatar. That is possible. Can we make a raft of the small log that is already in the water? You might have something there, Brian. That's possible. Yeah, this would explain the 2 trees. If this were to become a raft, and we somehow make it possible to roll the second tree over here, knock it over, and push it onto here, something that makes us push off against that. That might not be a bad idea. Right, oh, look at that. Yes, that's the way to go. And it's a great way to get non-fitting garments onto custom avatars and literally have Marvelous Designer drape everything. It's great for poses as well. So you can use this if you have an avatar that's in the A pose and you export the same avatar again in a pose, and you import that, export as OBJ from Marvelous Designer, then import as a morph target in Marvelous Designer. Sorry, export from DAZ Studio, post as OBJ, import as morph target in Marvelous Designer. Then the avatar will change, and with it the clothing will re-simulate. And then you can export the clothing out, turn that into a morph in your clothing in DAZ Studio, and that will then give a draped outfit that matches the pose. Raft. Now our issue is we need to be able to push off against something here. So I wonder if our other tree is somehow going to come in handy for that. I don't know how though, because if we were to be able to get it here, I think it'll just turn the large log into a raft also. Do you know what I mean? We don't have a push-off point. Do we have to look at a walkthrough for this? Don't make us do that. Don't make us do that. But I do like the idea, Brian. And it's also fairly easy-ish. No, that's not how we do that. This is the only way, this is the only thing we can do with this tree here. That, and then this. The only thing meaningful. And then it can become a raft here, or it could become a raft down there. To make use of this tree here. Why is this tree here? There's got to be a reason for that. What do we do with this tree? What can we realistically do with that? It's one of those things. In adventure games, the same thing. Why does this room exist? You come into a room, there's nothing in there. There's got to be a reason for that there. Either it's a leftover from testing. Same with objects. Why is an object where it is? There's got to be a reason for that. They would have thought about this. And what is that exhibit? Yeah, so I'm totally stuck. I really don't know where to go from here. 1170026. Don't know. I say we vote to move on to another island because, you know, this is just not. So I'm not feeling it here. But I like your thinking, Brian, because it could well be that we're just not seeing something in particular. Like we said before, if we focus on making a raft here, maybe that's not the solution. If we focus on making a bridge somewhere, maybe that's not the solution. Maybe we need to make a raft, I don't know, down here somewhere. Don't know. But again, we can't push off from this island, so tricky. We're gonna have to come back to this. Thankfully, there is another island close by, is there not? That lets us sail away, namely here, into totally new areas. Breaking through the thick cloud cover. Ooh, roller coaster. No worries, thank you so much for being here, Neville, I appreciate that. Have a good night and have a good sleep. Hope you're on the mend, my friend. One tree, huh? Looks like we should go over to the left here. Does that make sense? That makes sense, doesn't it? Let's see, let's try the obvious things. A process of elimination. Yes, a roller coaster. Yeah, that's not the solution, is it? That's not it. Or maybe we'll push it over the raft. Oh yes, look at that. Haha! Yeah, so we're here now. And the roller coaster is large, so it goes doing roller coaster things. Oops. Sadly, we can only see this map as we jump into a mailbox here. And I think it may be a memory thing, but on the Apple Arcade version, sometimes these islands don't show up. So you see a mailbox literally in the middle of nowhere. I can see even my computer is struggling with the frame rate here as we zoom out. So I have a feeling that on the Apple TV or on iOS, sometimes there's just not enough memory to display these things. So yeah, but so much we've discovered already. Aha! What are we going to do here? Now this looks interesting. Up here, that looks like there's some rafting going on. Maybe. Oh, is this the exhibit for the roller coaster? See what the monsters know about the roller coaster. I like that when he goes and reads, he puts his hands to the back. That is very nice. Do you know the guy who did the art direction for this game, Adam DeGrandis, he has a small post on his website, Chickadee Games, about how he made this and some of the challenges they went through. And there was a reference sheet for this little monster guy, including the rigging, so you can see the bones on the inside. And I've used that as a reference to rebuild the guy in Blender. That's a nice little modeling challenge. I haven't gone around to the backpack yet, but I've rigged him and he can already raise his arm. That's quite nice. I haven't rigged his legs yet, but that's next on my agenda, making this guy walk around. And he's got these little sausage legs and arms, and it's quite nice when he has coffee. But you can see that there's a lot of just simple animation bits and pieces going on, like when he goes and stands at an exhibit. Usually we see him from the side. We don't really see him from the front a lot. So it's a very rare shot of he puts his hands behind his back. It's very cool. Scream if you want to go faster. England's roller coasties were told to scream if you want to go faster. Perhaps the coaster organism was hard of hearing and needed loud instructions so it knew when to speed up. Yes, precisely how it worked. Well researched, monsters. So it looks like this here on the left. There's a tree here that would go and connect over to this island, but we can't go connect from here, so I think the solution lies on this island. And tricky it does look too. What do we do with this tree? This tree and that tree. That's probably not the solution. We can move this guy over here. I'm wondering whether we should try to build a raft here. Because I wonder if there's two solutions to this, in fact, that we can... So we can build a raft here. That's nice. We can push off towards the top. But I also wonder, could we have made a raft here? Is that a second solution on this island? Curious. Since we know how to make that, and I can remake that quickly, I wonder if I could just try... to... That was probably one step too far. Would it be possible to push all our, whoops, McGubbins over here? No, not really. Not at the moment, because there's nothing I can use to push this log over here. Unless... do I use this log? Could do this. Same situation. There's nothing I can use to push this log over there now. I'm glad we tried. No way! What is YouTube playing at? Mr. Nate! Good to see you. Good morning, sir. Yes, I've been live since kind of 20 past 10. There was a bit of an issue with my streaming PC, of course. So I'm glad that's sorted out and cured. So okay, this is not the... So the first solution that we had there, that's how to get off this island then. Good to check this out. I mean, sometimes these things do have two solutions. And if they do, maybe we need to come back at a later point for that. For that second raft. Maybe we need, in fact, to have this raft and then have another raft at the top. So I don't know how these brains come up with puzzles like that. You're just in time, Nate. We're going sailing underneath the roller coaster. Like so. Aha. And we got stuck several times. So one of those things. Keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. Humans were instructed to keep limbs inside the coaster at all times. Presumably, this was to prevent other fairground humans from mistaking the coaster for a terrifying, gigantic, multi-limbed creature. Oh dear. Is it time to go a-sailing again with yet another raft? We can do this, we can do this. Come on. How exciting. And hello Dragonate's mom if you're watching. Wonderful to see you too. And goodbye Andrew, nice of you to drop by. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday morning. Unless my streaming PC doesn't like me doing it, so then, you know, I might be a bit delayed. But the idea is to be here 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, 7 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. in most of Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and midnight in most parts of Australia. Good to see you. Yes, indeed, good luck. I hope it's going to work out for you. I wonder if this is one of those islands that we can go and grab this raft to make another raft next to it. Could that be? I think so. Look at that. And then we use this raft to access the second raft. Now we're back. Cool. Do we want to, I mean, go this way? I think so, because we've kind of explored this, haven't we? Yeah, this just gets us to that island, so yeah, good stuff. Let's go down here. Down south, mate. Here we go. Yes, I like it. I like it. And this now connects that island. Cool. My goodness, look at us island exploring. Island hopping. What's this then? You must be this tall to ride the coaster. Yes, time zone math is annoying. I wish there was an easier way to, in Windows, to just keep track of it without an add-on. That'd be quite nice. Also without adverts, that'd be good. There's a good one on time and date, but that's plastered with ads, and you can go and pick a start time and date and add as many cities as you like and give people that link, and then it'll calculate, it'll basically show whatever time zones you've put in, but they can then also go and add their own local time zone to find out when the event starts. That's kind of nice. The coaster refused to waste its time on interactions with very small humans. This may have been related to force, mass acceleration. Larger humans weighed more and thus helped the coaster gain an exciting amount of momentum. Yeah, exactly. Coaster didn't want small people. Are we rafting again? Yes, look at that. This is the dead giveaway here. This rock probably being another raft point. I love that some islands are so easy to figure out and other islands have us completely stumped. All in the same game. Another one of those rafting puzzles. I'm thinking we build a raft here and then go back, but one tile further north. Right, yes. Do you have a tool for Windows? I know iOS devices have a really nice world clock, so I have most of the time zones that I need in there, that I can at least tell people how far we are apart. That's nice. But what I find annoying is that we make a date in the future, say on the 17th of August at 3 p.m. Pacific. You think, yeah, I don't really know what that means for me. Or if I say 3 p.m. Eastern, what does that mean for the person in the other time zone? I'd love it if there'd be a way to type in that and then, you know, rather than have calendars autocorrect these things, which is a nice feature, I'd like to be able to say, hey, you're in Europe, that's, you know, exactly 6 hours later than where I am. That it would do me a favor. It would be nice if there's a tool in Windows, because I think iOS has it. I think macOS has it as well. So I just don't tend to use that. If you know what I mean. Okay, let's try again. If we were to make a raft over there, I think put this down so that tree gets braked by that rock. We head over here and do that. Yes, that might work. Put that tree over into this corner and then have this tree be braked by that. This is kind of the pattern I'm following. If there are trees and you can push them over, I always look, when I do that, where could I roll it to so that it's then accessible? Like here, it's accessible from here. Does this work? Yes, it does. Look at that. Ha! Do you know, yes, it's completely random. So even later on, there's still things that are super puzzling, and there are also things that are fairly easy. But there is something, I don't think we've discovered it yet, in this whole game. Oh, it just brings us back. Interesting. So we can go and have a look at how many islands we've discovered in this game. So on Apple TV, I'm really far. I've got like 500 something islands discovered. There's 599 islands in total. There's this here. That's the current number of islands we've discovered. Then this is the current number of exhibits we've discovered. So there's like 140 or something in total. But then there's another thing here that is the amount of snowmen we've discovered. And that's a really hard part in the game. So there are hidden creatures in this game on islands that are almost impossible to reach, and you really have to think outside the box to reach them. And it's not just like building a bridge. It's like saying you have to build a raft from a completely different part of the island to get there. So, as an example, these are all the travel points that I have here with the arrows, and we're going to come across places that are still undiscovered, and there's just no way to get there. So sometimes we have to think, well, we'll come from here, we build a raft that goes all the way up to some undiscovered island here, and that will then access the snowman. That's the kind of thinking these developers have. So difficult, I tell you. And that's then when where these snowmen are hiding. And the snowmen, they're just extra super hard, difficult bonus puzzles. We don't need to reach them to finish the game. Just be aware they are there. Yeah, I think we've done this loop here. I think we've discovered everything we can on this part. In fact, let's use this to have a look. Yeah, look at that. I think the whole roller coaster area, I think we've discovered now. That's quite nice. I don't see anything obvious that we may need to explore here. So I suppose we can either grab our raft and go back all the way down here. Oh yeah, and see if we can explore the bottom part that we haven't unlocked, this island in the middle here. Let's do that. Let's go traveling by raft because we do like it. I also like the little raft sailing music that we get there. It is quite fun, and it's one of those games that if you don't rush it, if you take it nice and slow, it's just beautiful thing to explore. Oh look, that's Slinky! How exciting! New addition to my overlay, Slinky. Slinky was rendered not in Iray, by the way. I left him in Filament because it looked actually more impactful than the Iray render. Iray the material looked more washed out. It had more reflections and all, but it didn't look as nice and orange. So I thought, Filament it is. Righty, all the way down here. This is nice, actually, Nate. You've missed this. This is good. This is a vending machine, and the blurb reads: mostly reliable slot machine. Human gambling machines came in several forms. This is a type of slot machine where the human would insert money and try to win a snack. Players had a 78% chance of winning, perfect for humans seeking mild financial peril. Very clever. Very clever. Yes, those dastardly designers. So, oh yeah, we left this island because we had no idea how to get here. How do we get across to this island? This is a puzzle and a half. You'd think we could do that. But then, how do we get there? These are the two islands we were totally stuck at today. Then, so we have to go this way. It's the only way. Could also go back this way if that makes any difference. And we can do that. And go and oh, is this the way to go? Do this, and then go and roll this guy over here. Oh my god, that's the way to do it. Ha! Island number 1260516. Solved you after all. I find that is also true that if you go and if you're really stuck on an island and you just come back the next day, you see other things that you didn't see the day before, that you just couldn't. And it's bizarre. I don't really know why, but that's just how it works. And now we connect that to here, so that's kind of cool. I suppose then this island here is also one that just rafts us over to whatever that sofa thing is. Let's try that. One in here. One in there. No! Dang! That's not how to do it. Because this tree is now no longer movable. So, let's try it this way. Yes. No! Dang! That's not it either, because if I do that, that doesn't make a raft. It just goes and rolls over. So I suppose then, rather than hastily moving this tree into the water, let's move it over here, because that means we always have the option to move it back and then roll it in second. So let's do this. Yes. Yes. Sometimes tree order is just so important. Raft! All right. Another exhibit. Oh, nice. And this now makes this connection here, so we don't have to raft back. We can just go and use it as a little bridge. That's nice. Hover sofa. Instead of trying to run the gauntlet of a toddler's human's floor-based arsenal of brightly colored plastic traps, caregiving humans began to invest in hover sofas. These levitating couches would simply glide over the detritus. Yes. Sounds like a good idea. I will invest into my hover sofa immediately. Well, now that we've successfully solved this, shall we go back to the unsolvable island and just have a look if we can discover it now? Past the slot machine. So there's this whole group of islands as well. So I don't know if we're going to reach that from here, or if we have to go in from the right, so from some other part over there. That might be. All the way over here. This was tricky. And this is something I would just love to explore this. And then I'm sure we can go further up somehow. But how? Yeah, sure, game. Sure. Come on. We can work this out. Come on, there's got to be a solution to this. So there's two things I'd like to do when I look at an island and I don't really know how to solve it. The first thing is process of elimination of moves that don't make sense. So like in this case, moving that tree up is possible, but I don't think it's going to get us anywhere. But it's possible. So that's just, you know, if there's something super obvious, like move this tree over here and then do that, that's probably not the solution. So we can discard moving the tree to the left to begin with. That's a nice approach. Likewise, moving the tree up here and then rolling it left is probably something we don't need to bother about, because I don't think going left is the solution. Going right would only make sense if the tree would be stoppable by something like a rock or another tree or some other obstacle like an exhibit. So that would, you know, that's that. And then, so the second thing I look at with these puzzles is where is a possible exit and how would we need to make it happen? Is it a bridge, and where to, and how? So in this case, if we had a large tree and the large tree would be exactly here, I could knock it over, it would make a connection, a bridge to the east, and that would be the solution. In our case, there's really the obvious place to go would literally be here to the island on the north. But how do we do that? Nate might have a solution to this tricky brain teaser. Push the top tree right. Push the other tree down, then push right. Bottom tree up, then right. Top tree down, then right. I will follow these exact steps. Push the top tree right. Can't do that, because there's a rock in the way, so I can't do that. I can't go over the rock. I can only access the rock if I go via a stump. Mechanic of the game. Push, so top tree down, then right, you say? Down, then right, okay, like so. Then you say the other tree down. Really? No, just one or two options. Okay, cool. So then this tree, I mean, it could go here and then build a raft here. That is possible. And then if we push over here, it will indeed get us to that island. but we can't board the island. We can go back and forth, but... So there's something missing. There's something missing. Might just be, I don't know, a second raft. It'd be good to... The islands also, that's another thing. If I were to move this raft over here to another island, and I managed to go the long way around, you know, if it was possible to go back to this island and I'd reset this island, that raft is going to disappear. That's another mechanic. So the logs that make up a raft, no matter where the raft is, are tied to the island. If you reset that, that raft disappears. Good thinking though, absolutely, Nate, good thinking. So we're all thinking there's got to be a different solution to this, or also possible, this solution is only applicable once we've solved another part of the game. So if there's no way to solve this, maybe it is because in a future installment we're going to come with another raft from the top down, landing here, and that raft can then be used to, I don't know, augment this raft, bring a tree with it that then, you know, makes us push off against something, don't know, something like that. But other than this raft solution, I can't really see a way to get over there either. So we could build a raft here in this spot. That would allow us access over here, but I don't know how to do that. There's also puzzles that need trees from other island to become a solution, but I don't know. I think we'll figure this out later. Mouse agrees. Let's go to the nearest mailbox and see where else we can go, because we started a little bit later. We might as well carry on a bit longer. Here's the nearest post box where we're gonna go. We've come from here. So there's this bottom island here. This is another good example of how would we solve that. So this is, I think, where we started today. Somehow on the right we went over to get to this, I don't know, cat with fireworks on the side. And I think that we couldn't figure out. I think we couldn't figure out how to get to the bottom island. So we could have another crack at that with our collective minds put together. Let's do that. Let's go back to our origin point. See if we can sort this out. This is the mobile laundry rack. Sure game. I like it. We've made that happen. I'm not sure if we looked at this exhibit. Cat Jetpack. Yeah, I don't think we've looked at it. At some point in the 2100s, a human amateur scientist invented a feline jetpack to offer a greater range of movement to their pet cats. Would Roberta be interested in that? The cats immediately used it to ascend 15 feet and scratch at the upstairs windows instead of those on the ground floor. Sure game. We can go over here, reach that island, and I think from here we sailed off to the left. So we've left this island with a raft. But I'm not sure if the top island, I think we just gave up on this. I don't think we could do it. We built this raft at the top. That wasn't really necessary. Or was it? Maybe it was to get over to the left there. This goes down, but maybe there was a second solution to get to this island on the bottom here. Either here or there. This could also be the island that gets us over here. Don't know which one. I have a feeling this one is probably... We've sorted this one out. I think this solution was correct. I think it's this way and then that way. And then we do that. Move this back here. Yes, this is how to do it. Then we do that. And then, yeah, so this This is that raft, and now we can access this path. Okay, so this is probably solved then. So I would imagine then this is the island that needs a little bit of thinking here. If only it was as easy as pushing this tree over. But that's not how to do it. This tree over here, marginal sense it makes. Oh, it could be. We do this and then perhaps... Is that how we do that? This down? No, because... How are we going to push this tree over to the right now? So that's not the solution. Or perhaps then, ladies and gentlemen, if we move this tree up to here, that would then go and break this tree with that tree, like so, and then we can go and push it. So maybe this way, then that way, and then, check it out! Yes! Strike! New island discovered! I feel like Columbus here. That's awesome. Isn't that exciting? It looks like now we've worked out the whole bottom bit here. Now what? This is something I find difficult about this game. Where do we go next? I mean, if this area is now explored, this island appears to have a large tree that gets us to the top. But how do we access this whole group that's still completely whited out? Nothing else we can do here. This is a raft with which we arrived from the other side. So it looks like there's no obvious way to go over to the left here. The pineapple worm. Yes, I like to call it the slinky. How do you like the slinky? I'd like to augment my animation overlay with like another 2 or 3 things so that every 5 or 10 minutes we have someone else walking over. That might be nice. Or every 6 minutes or so. That'd be kind of cool. Let's go into here. And remember, there's another clue that the game gives us of where the main story path progresses, and that's these little feet. So over here, I suppose the game says this is where the main path continues. Not that we know how, but let's go there. No, not here. Oh yeah, maybe we have to go here. Well, hang on a minute. How are we supposed to go where the feet are? Because I don't see an obvious way to travel there. I can go to the island next to it, or maybe this is where we caught the raft. Go over there. This is where the adventure continues, is it? Is it really? This is... Yes, I like it. I like it as well, Nate. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Every few minutes, something walks over. So my other idea is to have a skater, like a human figure that just goes and rollerblades, like from left to right, with a wafty scarf that she drags behind her, and the scarf could be animated in Marvelous Designer that wafts around. And the scarf could have some kind of message, you know, that might be nice. So that's on my things to explore. There's also a little toon chameleon that I can animate, but that walk cycle is difficult to get right. I mean, it was difficult enough to get the slinky moving this way, but I managed to do it, so it's one of those things. I was going to do it on the Twitch stream actually this week, but then I thought, nah, I'll just go and fiddle around, and somehow I had it, and I thought, it's fine. So next one maybe we can do on stream together, see what happens. So let's do that then. Let's go here and go all the way back to this island and rebuild the raft and somehow go back to this where the game says this is where we're continuing, even though I can't quite see how that might work. Let's do it. Good idea, Brian. Let's do this. Revisit all our handiwork here. And go all the way over here. That's cool. As far as we can. So I think from here we caught the raft over here. So we'll just go rebuild the raft. I think that's fairly easy to do. Let's go do that. And go plonk. And then we do this. And go kaplonk. And then we're here. So, yes. Game reckons this is where we go. No? Oh, okay. Oops. Back to the right. There's a raft I can take, really. Oh, this one here. Ah, you say this. All right. Back here. I think we came here. We've arrived here, though, haven't we? Is this the one you mean? All kinds of rafts we can now take back to this island. Oh, no, no, no. Okay, go. I'll go back. That's easy to do, and I like sailing on the raft, so that's cool. So I'm back here. I'll go back. This raft here. Is this the one you mean? That does indeed take us places. Like so, right? Is that the one? Yes! Brian, you're right! Oh my. Look at that cloud cover going away. Ha ha! Speaking of clouds, here it is. Now I've got these beautiful cherry blossom trees here. Pet cloud! After years spent attempting to control the weather, humans successfully domesticated clouds. These fluffy pets are still around today. They require a damp cupboard in which to nest, regular steam feeds, and a saucepan in which they can reign. Check yearly for cases of rainbow worm. Yes, difficult decision that. Rainbow worm. I wonder if this is a metaball object that just goes and morphs. Metaball cloud. It's a cute little effect. I'm not sure how I'd make that, but in Blender you can make these metaball objects and then just make a few of them and just use morph targets to randomly morph every part of them. So it looks like there are several objects that keep going in and out of one another. Maybe that's what it is. Beautiful cherry blossom trees. Something else I've noticed as you move from one area into another, the color correction globally changes as you travel. So if you travel into a winter area, it gradually becomes blue, and then if you go into a summer area, it gradually becomes warmer. So they've done a really good job on this. And it's so subtle you wouldn't really notice it if you wouldn't be looking at it. So currently it's slightly cooler, the color correction, than it was before. And as we travel there, we'll see other effects like you know, snow creeping in and all that. This looks like it's another one of them rafty islands. That is cool. Come on. Another raft we can take. Let's make a mental note of that. Because there's also this part that we can explore. Nice. Oh, there's another raft. Ah. Depends how successful we are at making any of these things happen. Which way would you like to travel? Left or right? Difficult decision to make. I think we need to go and do this first. Right, and then we go... and then... What do we do then? Oh, this is a tricky one. Okay, so let's put this tree over here and make sure it becomes some kind of a stopper. But how do we do that? Like so. Make it a stopper perhaps here. Now if we do that, it'll go and knock into the water. Whereas when we do this, It'll stop right here, so okay. I think I can see it. Can I though? Ugh. It's deceptively simple, yet mega hard to execute. And maybe this guy then by itself, that goes over here, yes. Island 1271344. We've solved it. So now we have 2 rafts to take. We can take this one, or we can take the other one. Which one would you like to take? I don't think it's continues at the top. This one goes further down again. The other one goes further right. Oh. Where do they go? Well, both into unexplored territories. We could stay with the roller coaster area. Game reckons it continues in both directions, so we have feet on both sides. Any preference? Left or right? Maybe we could try the left, stay in the roller coaster area. Dedicate this path to the roller coasters. Left one, yeah, let's do that, Nate. Come on. And boom! Another Cherry Blossom Island. Obvious choice is to go up. Is it that easy though? No. Does this have something to do with having to put this guy into here? I have a feeling. And then we can utilize this, go on this little guy, and then go... No, he doesn't want to do that. Ow. What a shame. So that was not the solution, as intelligent as it seemed. So I suppose this is going to be our single bridge over here. There's another clue that you can use to work out how to put trees in. If this was the tree that is standing up, then it's lying down flat here, standing up here, lying down flat here, and then you can work out how a tree might have to arrive at a certain point. And if you work out that isn't possible, then that's not the solution. Also clever. Yes. So it appears this tree can either go this way or that way. If it goes that way, its only purpose would be to become a raft here. I'm thinking. Or if the other tree became a raft, we could push it up. But I don't know if that's the solution either. Could also be a break point for this guy. That might be possible. And then, haha! Working backwards. Look at that, and this is how it could work. Ooh, neat! So once again, it was the order in which to push the trees. We did the same thing with the trees, but a different order then got us a solution. That's kind of cool. Ha! Goldfish in a bowl. Like I have a feeling we're having a repeat of what we've just had with this island. So it looks very similar. Very similar. Also gives a clue that when you knock this tree over, that you have another space with which to knock it back. So that's kind of important. If this space wasn't here, then there would be no way for us to bring this tree back. Monster, what are we reading here? A goldfish bowl. These gossip-loving fish were intensely curious about human activity and could not stand feeling out of the loop. Humans thus had to store them in completely clear containers to ensure they always had a good view of an interesting drama. 360 degrees. Isn't that funny? Julia just followed a Blender tutorial in which she's made something like that. Moving fish. The fish, that's another thing I'd like to bring over on my overlay. A fish that just goes and swims from left to right with these, you know, fish-like movements like this guy has. Yeah, so she's made a goldfish bowl with a fish on the inside. Fish was sculpted, is rigged, is animated. There's some oxygen bubbles that come up. Very cool. I bet goldfish love drama. Goldfish are more evil than we think, I have a feeling. Super evil goldfish. So same idea than before. We do this, and now we do, I don't know, something. Not sure what yet. But let's do it. Also, let's do this. So I suppose then the obvious solution is to put this tree somehow here. But that requires him to stand up here, so I can't do that because that would mean it'll just go and roll in here. I think if we go and push him up here, that would do the trick. Aha! So very similar solution than as the previous one. Very neat. 2 islands. This one looks more complicated than the other one. The 2 obvious ways are up or to the left. If we do the left, there's no way to get the tree up. So perhaps in line with introducing this dynamic that we need to walk over a tree, maybe it's this. Using this as a stopper for now. Yeah, cool. And then we do this maybe. Push this in. And, lo and behold, reach the northernmost island. Look at that. We're browsing through these. How exciting. What we got here? There's nothing in here. What is this exhibit that you speak of? Oh, it's a perfect chameleon. Right. Just on target. Chameleon needs to walk through the stream overlay. Very important. Human experts famously poo-pooed the idea of a perfectly camouflaged chameleon. In fact, one species was easily capable of such transformation, but it was simply not detectable by humans. These creatures flourished inside human homes, secretly becoming the most common human pet of all time. Yeah, I have them all around me right now. I just don't know where they are. Perfectly disguised. Very clever. Yeah, this looks like it'll be easy to just kick this tree up here, but of course I can't reach this island without changing the tree, so uncool. This might mean we need to reach this island from the bottom island. Let's do that. We'll come back to this. Thankfully, we are spoiled for islands. Yes, indeed. So same mechanic with the tree that might become a stop. And then rolls into here, maybe. That's another one of those. Possibly. With the difficulty that we can now not push this tree over to the bottom. So, very cool. When I say cool. I wonder if this is also part of how they make you think. If they've introduced this mechanic 3 times now, maybe we're supposed to think, hey, I'm sure this is how to solve it, and then really it's not how you solve it at all. That is also very clever. Loving your use of these icons. That's cool. And Brian, you found a slinky earlier as well, didn't you? Was that a YouTube slinky? That's very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, this seems tricky. Ooh, I like it, Sydney. I'm glad you did. The music, particularly wonderful. I have this one and another one by the same composer, Eli Rainsbury. she makes, she has this one. This is out as a soundtrack that you can buy to just have it on a loop. It's just 36 minutes or so. You can get it from itch or from Steam. She has a few others. There's one called Jetstream. That is beautiful as well. I keep listening to that as well. And then there's the third one was Wilmot's Warehouse, and a fourth one is No Longer Home. That's cool. That's much longer, and there's more dramatic music in there. But those three I can absolutely recommend to just have on a loop and just keep working. It's wonderful to have this in the background and do 3D things. Oh, worms! Look at that. Cool. Eli Rainsbury. Yes, if you look this game up, you can see her soundtrack, and you get to her page that way. She's on Ko-fi as well. I bought her a couple of coffees. Wonderful, wonderful composer. That is great, Brian. Awesome. Just on the slinky theme here. I like it. What are we gonna do with this island, boys and girls? Come on. We can't be defeated by this. We can't be defeated by this. We can so do this. That you could do that. If it makes sense. We don't have to do that already. We can do it another time. This tree is a bit of a puzzle because the moment we push it over, there's no going back from this. There's no going back from this tree, and really the only place we can push it is down. There's no other way to do it. This tree currently doesn't have a stopper, no matter where we put it. Well, actually there's one on this side. We can do that. That'll work. And perhaps, yeah, perhaps if we go and perhaps if we go and build our pathway like this. Maybe this is the way out. We do this, do that, and then somehow don't make a raft, because that doesn't really do it for us. Let's go and put him over here so we can go and maybe no. Oh, what do we do with this? I could see this being 90 degrees shifted, and I can push it from here so it'll roll so that it's here, and then I should be able to go and push it over here, making a single bridge. But how we do that? For that, this guy mustn't be turned over that way. It has to be turned over some other way. You know what I'm saying? And if I do that, that's not the way to go. If I do that, this turns into a raft, so that's not the way to go. Or is it? No, it's not. I have a feeling the key to this dastardly solution is this tree here. Does it help us if we have it in this position? I like these little idle gestures. And wait until we have him eat popcorn. So we've already seen the coffee island, which we can have a coffee, but there's also, I think, 2 items in the game in which he has popcorn, and it's quite funny to see him eat because his head is rigged. I mean, head is only like, you know, this top part, but it's just very funny to see how he eats. The character in this game was introduced fairly late in the development process, says Adam DeGrandis. Apple produced this game, so this was originally commissioned for the Apple Arcade, by the way. So I'm glad it's been released for Switch and on PCs as well. But Apple produced it. Apple initiated the idea that they wanted a game like that, so it was based on commission by Apple. and they had this log mechanic, a bit like in the How to Build a Good Snowman game, in which the character was featured. The character was also featured in Cosmic Express. That's another puzzle game by Dragneck and friends. And it was fairly late in the development process. It was decided that to have a character for this game, we could have the character from the previous game who's on holiday, and that's basically his holiday here. So glad to see him in fleshed out, wonderful 3D effects. Because I think the Snowman game, that was, it looked 2D. I'm not sure if it was 2D. I'm pretty sure it was 3D game, but he looked 2D. So I'm not sure how many features he had, and I don't think he had a backpack either. He was without his backpack. Push the log up now, then right to the rock, then up. I can't push the log up though, because I can't go behind it. That's the problem. If I do this, I can't go behind it. So I can only walk over it if there is a stump. Dang. But it's got to be along these lines. Might it be, if I go back a few steps, instead of, and I don't know if this is possible, but instead of, so many steps back, come on, instead of pushing this log in like that, might it work if I put it in the other way around? Because then I could walk in from here, and then I could just go, basically do the same in reverse. If I had access to the log from here like that, I could then go and move him over there. That would certainly work somehow. But then of course the issue is, how do I do that? Or is it in fact that this tree here needs to assume that position? I don't think you can push rocks. Sorry, you can't push logs onto rocks either. I don't think that works. So if I go and push it, I can. It works, but they have to be next to a stump. I think that'll work. Push it left onto the stump. Let me see if I can follow you. Which log are you talking about? If we look at them here, which log do you mean? So like if it's like left, middle and right. We're going to get to the bottom of this, I'm sure. The log on the stump, it has to push to the right. Okay, we can do that. Oh, that's left, sorry. I do mix them up quite frequently. So there we go. That's that. Righty. But move the log below so you have room. So before I do that, I go and push this guy over into here. Right, is that true? Then I do this. Then to the rock, like so. That will work, Nate, that'll work, because I think if I do this, yeah, how am I going to go behind it? To go behind it, I'd need to have this guy, the other, no, I can't actually, can I? If only there was now a way for me to get behind it somehow, because now I only have to push it up. No, but I have a feeling this is probably... I wonder if that's how they want us to do it. Maybe the idea is then to not build this, because I think maybe that's the ruse, because we had this 3 times in a row already. Maybe they don't want us to do this the 4th time. This is the ruse. I have a feeling if we make this a raft here, then it can be done. Maybe that's the thing. So this can become a raft here. Let's go reset it. Let's try this out. I have a feeling that if we go turn this into a raft, then we have this way around here. Let's do that. That would also give this guy an actual purpose. And now we can walk around this corner here. That is quite cool. So now, in order to do exactly what we did before, let's go do this. Then we do that. Now we do this. And now we do that. Ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha! Collective thinking. Thank you, Nate. This is how to do it. Look at that. Woohoo! Perfection. This is quite exciting. I think, my friends, I'm going to call it a day here. I'm going to go and sit by the perfect chameleon and just go sit this guy in the water. And I'm going to go and prepare a little bit for that season pass stream, which is going to happen at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk more about billboards and how to make them without Photoshop. That's going to be exciting. We're going to turn characters into billboards so that we can use them as background objects, and we're also going to go and work a little bit on our main character, how he can hold a sword, how he can hold a pistol. So we do talk about posing, we talk about expressions, we talk about making our hero character, and hopefully get our heroine character sorted as well. So she hasn't been released yet. Jinx Jones is not quite with us yet, so that's probably something for next Saturday. But yeah, all those things and more coming up at 4 p.m. on the official DAZ channel if you are a Season Pass member. If not, I'll put a link into the description if you want to catch up. There's a private forum. I can answer questions in there. Also, very exciting, I'm going to give away a freebie. All will be revealed. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I hope I'll see you later there or otherwise tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here for more monster puzzling things. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.